Okay, Tov everyone. We are continuing in Megilat Ruth. We are in Perek Aleph, Pasuk Hey. Vayamutu gam shenehem, machlon vechilyon, vatishara isha mishnei yeladea umeisha. So we mentioned that Elimelech passed away, and now the two sons passed away, machlon and chilyon, and Naomi is left without children and without a husband. So we look closely at the pasuk. It says Vayamutu gam shenehem, and also the two sons died. Now the word gam always comes to add something, and the pasuk could have very well said Vayamutu shenehem machlon vechilyon. Why? What's the gam shenehem? So Rashi explains gam is an addition, that in addition to just them dying, they also lost their money. Meaning the whole reason why Elimelech went from Israel to Moab was because he was cheap. He didn't want to support the fellow Jews during a time of famine. But he ended up being punished, dying. His sons died, and they also lost their money. They lost their money and their animals, etc., and then they died. The Gaon Mevilna over here explains as follows. He says, where do the names Machlon and Chilion come from? What's the meaning of them? Machlon with a chet, from the word chulin, chol, empty. Yom chol, regular, empty. That he made Eretz Yisrael chas v'shalom empty. He didn't give it chashivut. Chilion with a chaf, chilion, kliya, from the word destruction. They therefore deserve destruction. The question the Gaon Mevilna says is that Machlon, it wasn't just him that considered it empty, also Chilion considered it empty. And if you're saying Chilion means destruction, Machlon also got destroyed and he also was deserving destruction. So the meaning of each name also applies to the other. So he says that's the reason why the pasuk says Vayamutu gam shenehem machlon vechilion. They also, gam is an addition. They were both machlon and chilion. Meaning, yes, one name was machlon, one name was chilion, but they were equal in this respect. They were both chol, and they were both deserved destruction. Vayamutu gam shenehem machlon vechilion. They were both, because it could have said Vayamutu machlon vechilion. So what's gam shenehem machlon vechilion? They were both machlon and chilion. They were, even though one was this name, one was that name, they were both equal in this unfortunate. Sorry?
They were adults when their father took the whole family.
Oh, at that point when he took them, I'm not sure, but we see that they got married. Right, but it seems like they were definitely adults at the time of death. They were definitely, because they got married to Ruth and Orpah. So maybe from their father's sin, they continued that as adults. They didn't rebel on it. I mean, Naomi, she stayed pure. She stayed tzaddiket. Right. Maybe her influence couldn't affect the kids. Well, the kids deserved it. The kids deserved it. That's why they also died. I mean, we saw Elimelech was. Yeah, they didn't deserve any goodness. Right. I'm not sure again which age they came, but it seems like they deserved it. Elimelech was the main one. That's why it seems like he died first, and then the kids died. He was the main one, but they also unfortunately deserved this. The next pasuk, Vatakom hi vekalotea vatashov misedem Moab. And she got up, Naomi, and her daughter-in-laws, Vatashov, to return, like teshuvah, to return from Sedem Moab towards Israel. Kisham'ah, why is she returning now to Israel? Because she heard Bistem Moab in Sedem Moab. Well, obviously she heard it in Sedem Moab. Why are we repeating it again? We're going to mention it. She heard Ki pakad Hashem et amo latet lahem lachem, that Hashem now counted his nation, or Hashem took note of his nation in Israel to give them bread. Meaning the famine ended in Israel, and now the whole reason why they went because of the famine, they heard, there's food now in Israel. Hashem has rachamim on their nation, on his nation, so they want to head back to Israel. So here the Gaon of Vilna explains a few questions on this pasuk. Why does this saying that she got up with her daughter-in-laws from Sedem Moab? Because she heard in Sedem Moab that obviously she was in Sedem Moab. That's where she heard it from. So he explains the following fundamental, and he says that all goodness that comes to the world, and that even comes to the other nations, comes through Israel, through Eretz Yisrael. It comes for Bnei Israel, and then the kind of like the leftovers goes to the other nations, and it comes through Eretz Yisrael, and the leftovers go to the other lands. So yeah, it was through Israel. Vaccines is all through Israel. Yeah. So he explains as follows, that when he brings it from the Pasuk in the Midrash that says that the Aretz was Tohu Vavohu at the beginning of creation. So Tohu Vavohu, it says the Midrash, that's Ma'asem Shel Rishaim, that the actions of Rishaim, it's empty, so no good could come down. If everybody's Rishaim, Hashem, that's what we saw in the time of Noah, Hashem destroyed. So there's no goodness that could come down. But then, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or, there's light. Light is the action of tzaddikim. When there's light here, then goodness could come down and it could be spread to the others. So, and the main thing is Eretz Yisrael. Ki enei Hashem Elokecha ba mirishit hashana v'ad achar shana. Hashem's eyes are on Eretz Yisrael all the time. That's His land. So the main shefa of bracha goes to Eretz Yisrael, then goes to Chutz La'aretz. So he explains as follows, that she, Naomi, understood this when she was there. She ran away from Israel. And she thought, okay, I had no parnasah there, or they're going to take away my parnasah, I'm going to have to feed everybody there. She left to Moab, and she thought there's going to be a lush, and she realizes there, after losing everything, etc., that, I should have gone back home. And he explains the pasuk as follows, that Kisham Abis de Moab, she heard in Sedem Moab, meaning she realized from Sedem Moab, it's not greener on the other side. In Israel, it's green enough. And then also he says, the pasuk as follows: Ki pakad Hashem et amo, Hashem counted his nation, took notice of his nation. Latet lahem lachem, to give them bread, means to give Israel bread. He explains it. Latet lahem, to give Moab bread, meaning now she realized through Sedem Moab that Hashem has rachamim on his nation Israel, and because he has rachamim on Israel, latet lahem lachem, Hashem gives them bread. Hashem gives Moab bread. That's what he realized. That's what she realized, and that's how the Gaon of Vilna explains pasuk. One last pasuk. Vatetzeh min hamakom asher hayta shama, and then she left the place where she was from. Ushte chalotea ima, and her two daughter-in-laws were with her. Vatelachna baderech, and she went out on the way. She went out to the street. She went out to the path. Lashuv et Eretz Yehuda, to go back to Eretz Yehuda. So the question here is, obviously she went with her daughter-in-laws. We just said in the past pasuk, vatakom hi v'kalotea. She went, her and her kalot and her daughter-in-laws. Here again it says, v'tetzeh min hamakom asher hayta shama ushte kalotea ha'ima. She's going out with her two daughter-in-laws. We said that already. The Gaon of Vilna explains on this is that at first she thought that the daughter-in-laws are mentioned in the past pasuk. She thought that the kalot were coming just to escort her out of Israel, out of Moab. But then, realizing when she's going onto the path, they're still sticking here. They want to come with her. They had the intentions of converting. They want to come with her. We're going to see later that Orpah, right? We're going to see eventually Orpah turn back. But that's why it's mentioned again. They're with her. Not that they just came to escort her. They're with her. One other point, Rashi explains, last point. So this is reminiscent of the pasuk in the Torah. Vayetze Yaakov miBeersheva vayelech Haran. It says in the pasuk, Vayetze Yaakov miBeersheva. Yaakov left Beersheva and then he went to Haran. The Torah could have just said, Vayelech Yaakov Haran. Yaakov went to Haran. And the explanation there is when a tzaddik leaves the city, he makes an impression on the city. Vayetze Yaakov miBeersheva. It was a yitziyah. It was an impression. So too over here, Rashi explains. The pasuk could have just said, "Vatelachna ima kalotea baderech lashuv Eretz Yehuda," but it says, "Vatetzeh min hamakom asher hayta shama vatelachna." Why again? Vayetzeh vayelech. Same thing. That Naomi was a righteous lady, and it was known when she left the city. Even though unfortunately her husband and her sons, they didn't follow the path, they weren't so great, she was still remained a tzaddiket, and therefore now she's leaving and made an impression on the place. And that's why vatetzeh vatelachna. ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן עקשיא אומר, קצת קדוש ברוך הוא לזכות, את יספיך חיבה להם תורה מסו שנאמר, אדוני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה וידיר.